It's a kind of magic.
Live from the Twin City.
It's a kind of magic.
It's Triad Today with Jeffrey Griffin.
Get ready to celebrate all things chocolate because it is National Chocolate Day.
National Chocolate Day?
Oh, yeah. I can bore you to death with stats about chocolate.
It's not boring at all.
So we have chocolate?
You get so charming when you eat chocolate.
My chocolate! My beautiful chocolate!
Chocolate City.
Don't do that. My chocolate must never be touched by human hands.
For National Chocolate Day, yes.
News Talk Sports to the Triad, WSJS 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Good morning, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Griffin alongside Christian Snyder. Welcome to hour number 2 of the big show. Rain throughout much of the day with strong winds in play. We'll top out about 49 degrees tonight. Cloudy with a chance of rain continuing through the evening hours with strong winds in play. We'll bottom out in the mid-40s. Midweek Wednesday, clouds, rain is likely, wind gust, and a bit warmer, 55 degrees tomorrow. And Thursday, partly sunny with a slight chance of showers in the first half of the day. We'll top out about 60. If you would like a traveling weather forecast, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, don't hesitate to reach out, 336-777-1600. It is time for us to get between the pages and has become our tradition on Triad Today, the week of Halloween. One of my favorite authors ever, Burt Calloway. Good morning, Burt. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Jeffrey. I'm glad to be back with you.
Burt, Triad Hauntings, all 93 pages of it. It sits with a place of pride and prestige on my bookshelf, and I feel like I have this book memorized. So, Burt, for those who may be just now joining us, talk us through Triad Hauntings. How did it come to be, and what's it include?
It includes some well-known ghost stories, and it includes some that are new. At the time, some of these stories were well-known, but they were going to die out if someone didn't write them down. So my partner, Jennifer Fitzsimmons, and I gathered them and put them together, and it was something that we were really proud of. We met a lot of fantastic people doing it, and it was a lot of fun, and we learned a lot.
Now, Burt, is this right? 35 years?
That's right. That's right. 1990.
It's the 35th anniversary of Triad Hauntings, and some of these are really well known. I mean, Lydia, the Jamestown Underpass, of course. I mean, we get it. We've all been there, done that. Dana Auditorium, Guilford College. You go to Old Salem, Little Red Man, Salem Tavern, rather, Cluel Dorm. But I just, so Burt, as you look back over time, have you been back to revisit any of these sites in years later to just with that notion of, did I really feel what I felt? Did I really see what I thought I saw? Did I hear what I thought I heard?
I have visited some of them. Yeah, and of course I went to the Old Salem Ghost Walk and did that walk through, and some of the sites were it was interesting to hear their take on things and to see the sites. It's amazing. These are not unusual places, and these are not unusual people who had these experiences. It's all around us.
And so I got it now, Burt. And so here's the big question. This is what everybody wants to know. When you're tracking down these stories in 1990 for the first time, 35 years ago, and maybe you had an experience, maybe you saw something out of the corner of your eye, maybe you felt something on the return visit, did it happen again?
On the return visit, I did not have anything. We did have a couple of unusual things happen on the first visit, but not on the return, no.
And so when the first time, when you and Jennifer are tracking down these stories, did you take a whole tribe? I mean, was it just you and her, or was it a whole group? They always say I think the fear is less palpable when there's a number of people, but was it just the two of you, or did you take a whole entourage?
It was just the two of us. We went alone, and oftentimes, like for instance, the Dana Auditorium, the security guards went with us and showed us, where the different things that happened to those guys in Dana. So sometimes we had other folks guiding us, but oftentimes it was just us.
Wow, you're a brave soul, Burt. I'm not sure. I think come on, we're going to take the whole group. Now, also, And sometimes, as a writer, I mean, you know that we all know this. You're thinking this is the story I'm going to tell, and it ends up not making the cut for whatever reason. So was there ever a journey that you made, a place where you camped out, you settled in to say, all right, I'm going to see if anything happens, and you just left going, you know what, there's nothing here, and that story didn't make the book? Were there any of those visits?
There were quite a few of those, Jeffrey. Yes. There were one or two that after we thought about it, we thought, well, we can sort of come up with a logical explanation for this one. Maybe someone misunderstood. And there were a lot of experiences that people had that were just, the night my mother or father died, they visited me in my bedroom, and I talked to them after they had dead. So, those are wonderful stories, but, not exciting, I guess, enough to go into the book.
And some of them are deeply personal and intimate, and maybe that interaction, that exchange took place, but the spirit or the ghost or however you wish to describe it, it just didn't manifest with others because it wasn't pertinent to them, right?
That's exactly right. I honestly came to believe that I don't think everyone can see a ghost. I think only someone special, or I don't know what the difference is, but only certain people can experience them.
Well, I mean, I think you have to be receptive to the notion, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think that has a lot to do with it.
I often, I did a lot, Burt. I was very fortunate to be involved with a group that just did a ton of work on Joe Baldwin and the story of the Mako Light in Mako, down on the coast of North Carolina. And we finally, I think there was just a group-wide consensus that if people stop, and this is true about a lot of things. I mean, Burt, the conversation could be very in-depth and analytical and philosophical if we want to go that way. That's not normally my style, but to keep it a little bit lighter, Jeffrey. But like a lot of things, when people stop, when they cease to believe, when they no longer consider the possibility, is it possible that at a time there was a ghost, there was an entity, there was a spirit, there was a manifestation of some deep emotion, and when people no longer care, or they become irreverent, or they kind of almost maybe perhaps nonchalantly dismissive in the way they speak of and treat the area or the moment or even the memory, that the ghost finds its way home or elsewhere, right? It's just kind of, if I don't matter, I'm not going to stick around. Do you think that's a possibility?
I do think that's a possibility. There are some of the stories, some that we heard, it seemed like a ghost was lonely and it really needed to be recognized. So I think there's something to what you say, yes.
Well, Burt, and I don't recall in the book that you all have a story about Reynolds Auditorium, do you? I don't think so.
We do not. No, we do not.
Well, I mean, Burt, you as a resident of the Triad, we've all heard that's one of the popular myths that people like to tell, especially teenagers. Reynolds Auditorium is haunted. It's just blah, blah, blah. And we were doing a show in that theater one night, and there were just a few people around, and we were all sitting at the production table out in the house. And nobody was on stage. The actors were all gone. Everybody was gone. And people were talking about how the auditorium was haunted. And my mother, who was a believer in ghosts, she goes, Catherine, I'm talking about Catherine Reynolds. She goes, Catherine, if you really are here, give us a sign. And everybody's kind of laughing, because my mom's being silly and all that. And Burt, every light in the auditorium went out instantaneously.
Oh, wow.
The lights in the house, the lights on stage, and we're all kind of sitting there, and you could hear the collective breathlessness of the moment. And finally, somebody said, all right, who's on stage? Who's fooling around? Because that's where the light board was. And nobody said anything. And finally, somebody goes, go up there and see who's on the stage. We figure it was somebody just fooling around, right? They hear my mom say that, and they're going to hit the light board and kill all the lights. And so two adults go backstage. They walk backstage, they get for the production table, and Burt, they go on the stage, and all of a sudden the lights come on because they turned them on, and nobody's there. And literally, there was nobody else in the theater that night. So you could make the argument, sure, there was a storm outside. We had a power surge. It flipped a breaker. All the lights went off. You all are doing much ado about nothing. Or do you consider the possibility that maybe the spirit or the entity or the ghost responded? And do you think that's a possibility, that really just normal conversation, that sometimes the ghost says, yeah, I want to be in the conversation, include me? Is that possible?
I think it is, and I should tell you, I'm jealous. I've been in the auditorium many times and never had anything like that happen. So I am jealous.
Yeah,
Jeffrey, in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania,
sure,
their town council leaves a chair open because there's a ghost that if it doesn't have a place in the council, elevators open and close, and it disturbs their meetings, and so they literally have a chair open for the ghost.
Well, I mean, Burt, I find it totally plausible. Sometimes it's not the arm of resistance that will keep you safe. Perhaps it is acceptance and the acknowledgement of something that maybe you can't see.
I agree. I totally agree. The people who accept it, I have heard people say that the ghost became part of their family.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes, Burt, you've heard this too. I think there's a misperception that a lot of times the ghost is evil or harmful. And I don't doubt that maybe those entities, those people have certainly had those experiences. But a lot of times it is, as we would say in the here and now, it is Casper-like. They want to look after you. They want to be helpful. They want to be a part of the family.
Yes, absolutely. I would say at least 95% of the stories that we gathered were pleasant stories.
See, I mean, folks, you got to get out there, Burt. And one more, and I don't think this one's in the book either. And I never investigated this one because I just, it was sometimes accessibility maybe inhibits the growth of the story, right? Because people can't get to a place. It's at a place where it's not safe, or it's a place where it's private property, and we don't invade where we're not asked. But I heard for years, Burt, that the lumber yard in Thomasville was haunted. Did you ever hear that?
Yes, I did hear that.
Really? Yeah. Did you investigate that one?
I over in Thomasville, I went to the Sandmore Furniture Company, but I never actually went to the yard to investigate. So no, I just heard people mention it.
Yeah. Of course, I would hear that, and people would go, oh, the lumber yard. And there were a lot of times I asked my mama, I said, so we going to go spend the night in the lumber yard? And she goes, Jeffrey, no, we're not going to go spend. That's kind of as far as that ever went. And Burt, you ever been to Waverly Sanatorium in Kentucky?
No, I have not.
All right. Well, it was at one point a hospital for tuberculosis and all that, and it's been used as other things, and now it is largely abandoned. Well, they do ghost tours there, and yeah, as you might imagine, there were so many deaths there, it almost seems impossible that there's not some kind of spirit, right?
Right.
And it's a huge facility. Well, we went as a family. We took our children. Burt, the night we went, it was the biggest, nastiest thunder and lightning storm that's ever rolled through Kentucky. I was kind of laughing all the way there. I went, this is just perfect. And we didn't see anything. You didn't hear anything, but it was the weight of the environment and the moment. You just left knowing that you had crossed paths with something that you hadn't seen.
Jeffrey, you have timing. That's what you have. Good timing.
I mean to tell you, but I'm serious. I was just kind of standing there, and I thought, I don't see it, but there is something here. That's why I took my children, because I'm a chicken. So I was holding hands with them, and they thought I was there to protect them, and actually they were there to protect me. Folks, it is Triad Hauntings, ghost stories from Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point, and surrounding areas. Burt Calloway and Jennifer Fitzsimmons. Go check it out. You can get it on Amazon. I looked it. It's there, and it's been around for 35 years, but it is still one of the most wonderful and extraordinary ghost story books ever put to paper in the Piedmont Triad. One of my all-time favorites. Burt, thanks so much for the visit, my friend. Happy Halloween, and let's talk again next year.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Same to you. I look forward to it.
All right, folks, that's Burt Calloway, Between the Pages. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, JJ's going to visit for Mom Life. That's next on News Talk Sports of the Triad, WSJS.